Hi, I'm Sara Davies and I'm from Crafter's Companion, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this fabulous Snowflake Aperture card. So it's using the Grande Snowflake die that we've got from the Festive Wonder Sara Signature collection, and I'm also going to use the fabulous border embossing folder, and it's just peppered there with a few extra little snowflakes, and the paper we've got in the background is from the matching paper pad, so I'll show you how all of that works together. Now we're going to start off with the large panel that goes on the front, and with that panel we're going to do die cutting and embossing. So when you do that, my recommendation is always do your die cutting first. So can you see here, I've got a piece of card, the embossing folder is 6 inches square, so I've got a piece of card cut to 6 by 6. This is how we're going to emboss it, but I want to die cut in the centre of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut that die exactly there in the centre, so it's worth looking to see where that appears. Lift that out. I mean, if you want, you could use a little bit of low-tack tape on there, and we're going to send that through our die cutting machine. Now, these dies are designed to work universally in all machines. I'm using it here with the Cut and Emboss machine because it is such an intricate die. What you'll find is not all die cutting machines will give you a clean cut the first time, and it's nothing to do with how sharp your dies are, because all dies are made to the same standard. It's just about the pressure that you've got on your machine. So this will fit through a Cuttlebug and a big shop machine, but if you find you don't get a perfect cut the first time, don't worry. It might be that you just need to add an extra shim in, or perhaps try rotating the die and cutting it another time. Now, because I've used the Cut and Emboss, you can see that that's cut beautifully well for me. And then all we do is we pop that out of the base card, and I'm just holding the die down and releasing the card around it. Okay, now we're not actually using that in this project, but the die will be handy to use on another project, so it's worth keeping. What we're using is the aperture. So I'm going to bring that embossing folder in now, and we're going to make sure that aperture is perfectly lined up in the centre of that card, and we'll get the embossing detail around the outside. There we go. Now again, the embossing folders are universal. They'll work with all different machines. With the Cut and Emboss, I know I'm going to get a lovely deep emboss with all of these because of the pressure. And you just sandwich it between 2 A plates, and then also you've got the D plate on the background. Now the paper that I'm going to use is from the Festive Wonder paper pad. Fantastic value of this pad. You get 48 sheets in the collection. And you can see, I'll lift this out and show you the different designs that we've got in here. So as we're flicking through, you can see I've tried to do a variety of different colours that are going to work for all of your Christmas cards. And a lot of them have patterns on, so they could be used as the base card design, or they can be used just to accentuate your cards, as we're doing in this one here. So there's the one I'm going to use then. So we just take out the sheet that we want to use. If I put that to one side, there we go, you can see the embossed design, and you can see the paper pad's 6 by 6, the card's 6 by 6, that's all going to work perfectly. And what we need to do is, I've got a base 7 by 7 inch card, so we do have a little bit of a border, and I'm going to start by gluing the base card design onto the 7 by 7 card base. So that just lies in the centre of the card base there. And then, because I want to raise this up a little bit, I'm going to use the Collal 3D glue gel. Now the great thing about this is you can be precise with where you're applying your glue. So I'll take the background card out so you can see I'm going to put a globule in each of the corners. And then I'm going to add some extra globules in and around the centre here like this, just so that we get height and dimension all the way around the card there. Now you can use foam pads. Some people just prefer to use foam pads. I just prefer to use glue gel. There's no right or wrong way. It's just whatever you find easiest. And that is going to sit perfectly over top of that base card, and where we've just got that glue gel, it's just going to hold it in place. Now I've got a little ribbon which I'm just going to add in the bottom corner, and then to add a finishing touch, I'm going to show you how to die cut some snowflakes to go on here. So there's my ribbon first of all, And then to die cut the snowflakes, if I put the card to one side, make the sandwich back up for die cutting. So I just add in the embossing mat and the B plate. These are the snowflake dies here. So this, you get a collection of 3 snowflake dies. And if you look in detail, can you see where we've got the light green areas? That's because these are cut and embossed dies. So what we do, because they're detailed dies, I'm actually going to add in the metal adapter plate, which is just, if you've got a really intricate die, you can buy the metal adapter plate to support the dies, and it just means you cut through a little bit easier. I'm going to cut those snowflake dies, make the sandwich up. So when you are using the metal adapter plate, it adds in as an extra. It doesn't replace out one of the other plates, and you need to make sure that you are cutting into the metal adapter plate. So that will go underneath your cardstock. So if you saw, I had it, the metal adapter plate, then my cardstock, and the dies cutting into the cardstock and into the adapter plate. So the first time through, they're going to cut. And then what we do is we take out the metal adapter plate. We also take out the magnetic sheet. And because these are cut and embossed dies, I'm going to add this back in, and you can see how well they've cut there. I'm going to take my embossing shim on the top, and then I'm going to run them through the machine another time. And what the embossing mat does is it just forces the fibres of the cardstock into the areas where we've got embossed detail. So all of the dies in these collections that I bring you, the signature series, are all cut and embossed dies, and you can even go a step further and stencil through them if you want as well, which I've done in a lot of the video tutorials that we've recorded for you. But it just gives that extra little bit of detail that perhaps you haven't had on other dies that you've worked with. So if I lift this out now, what you'll find is these should just pop out easily, especially because we use the metal adapter plate. And then just using the pokey tool just to release each one of these, because they are very, very fine. And you can see there that beautiful embossed detail I was referring to comes through on every single die cut. They really are fabulous snowflakes, these, and they're a lovely just embellishment that you can use on any one of your cards. Got an extra one I did there. I'm just going to bring my card back in and then just use them on the base of any of these, just to support around the outside of the card. And they do just add a lovely finishing touch. You can see I'm using the tiniest amount of the glue gel there, just lifting a bit off with my pokey tool. And there we have it, a really simple card that shows you that beautiful grande snowflake used to great effect in the centerpiece of your card as a beautiful aperture.